Good morning, everybody. We are here for another week of the Fantasy Lounge. I'm Adam Pelletier, and joining me, as always, Dave Heelman and Andrew Robb. Gentlemen, how we doing today?
Fantastic, man. It's always a great day when we get to watch some football, do some DFS, watch it all unfold. We are coming to the finish line here real soon.
It's week 12. It's week 12, and let me tell you, this has been an emotionally challenging season for my fantasy squads and, of course, for the Buffalo Bills. But we're making it here. We're making it here. Did everybody have a good Thanksgiving? First of all, did you, Andrew? How was your Thanksgiving? We lost Dave there for a second, but I'm sure he'll be back.
It was good. It was good. Yeah, ate. It went about how it always goes. Ate too much food, watched just enough football, and lost just enough money on gambling. So
That's about all you can do, right? You're just
right.
always trying to keep the losses to a minimum and make sure you spend some time with family. Now, did you guys travel or did you host?
No, we did travel to two different families, all local stuff, so we didn't have to go too far. But we did travel. So it was fun. How about yourself?
I was good. We had some people over. We hosted here. Got the bird going about 10 o'clock. Was ready by 2. So right as that Lions game was kind of petering out a little bit, and although they kind of tried to make it interesting, we didn't have to pay that much attention to that game. We were good to go by the next game, but that was also a snoozer. It was a bad day for Thanksgiving football. It's not that enjoyable at all. But we're here. We didn't get complete. My fantasy teams are completely in the hole right now, so that's about all we can do. Big question for you though, Andrew. Are you a stuffing inside the bird or outside the bird kind of guy?
I prefer it outside, but I'll eat it either way.
Okay.
But pull behind the curtain on Andrew. I used to be a lot heavier than you see me today, about 215, so roughly. So the fat kid eating though never really left me. So I'll eat anything, man.
Oh yeah, as I tell people, I didn't get to be the size I am by being picky or discriminating. If you put it in front of me, I am going to eat it. That's what it is. So, but it was great. I love Thanksgiving because I get to cook. It's my favorite holiday. Cook, food, drink, friends, and no other obligations. No one expects you to be like doing stuff or doing anything else. So it's really great. So let's get into some start sit though. An interesting slate of dockets. Andrew, what's the game you're really looking forward to? What's the game you're watching this week from a fantasy perspective, especially since you're temporarily named commanders? You're free.
Are awful.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're free
they
of
are.
Jack Del Rio.
Yeah, that is very true. Very true. Man, I honestly the Texans Jags game really intrigues me. A lot of good fantasy options today. I think it's going to be a barn burner. Both these defenses can be torched at times. So I mean that's probably the one fantasy wise I'm really looking forward to see, does Tank Dell continue his dominance? Does Nico Collins kind of make a little bit more of a resurgence as the number one there? I'm also interested to see what the Jags do with Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram's been getting a lot of targets over the last 5-6 games. Does that continue? Does Ridley continue to be the number one from last week over Christian Kirk? So that's probably a game I'm most interested in watching for fantasy purposes.
Awesome. Dave, how you doing, man? You got your audio fixed? You have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, it's been a great Thanksgiving. Have family here in town, and we got a lot of football. And it's weird having 4 games already in. So hopefully everyone's still alive.
Oh my God, I forgot about the Black Friday game. That was just.
Yeah, it definitely caused some lineup chaos for everybody with all the family stuff on top of everything else. So hopefully nobody left people in the lineup.
Let's just talk about a 99-yard pick six on a Hail Mary attempt in what everyone has aptly described as the jetsiest thing to ever happen. I texted my Jets fan friends and it was not good. It is not a good spot in Gangrene Nation right now. They're in a rough spot right now. So anyways, that's enough about us. Dave, anything to add about the Jets? And let's start talking about these start sits.
No, because I'm going to go on a tangent about the fact they were 1-0 and decided Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle were good to go for the rest of the year. Just completely wasted a season. So,
we'll get to that later. We'll get to that later because I have some hot takes coming in about the quarterback position. But right here, let's help this person out. I already have Kincaid at the tight end, Gus Edwards and Kyron Williams at running backs, Evan Ingram, James Cook, David Njoku, play one flex.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I got Gus Edwards and Kyron Williams back to back my rankings. I love Gus Edwards in this offense. He is this year's Jamal Williams. He's already got 10 touchdowns. His usage in the
I think he's already starting. They're already
he's starting those guys. He's asking Evan Ingram, James Cook, David Njoku, pick one essentially. I think is what he's asking.
For the flex.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's got to be James Cook, right? Like just way too much upside to not be the guy, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that.
I mean, Andrew, you got anything different there?
So James Cook has a very tough matchup against the Eagles. I do think that the Bills are going to be playing a little bit behind. I think it's going to be pretty close for the long run of the game, but I do think they're going to be playing behind a little bit. I don't know how much they can really rely on James Cook to take it to the Eagles because, again, the Eagles, I think, are, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they are the toughest against running backs on the season so far. So I don't know I'd play that. Honestly, I'd probably go Evan Ingram. Again, I think that game is going to be very barn burner-ish. So I'd play Evan Ingram personally, but I can't fault somebody for wanting to start an RB over a tight end that feels safer. But I don't know, man. I just think James Cook is going to be out of the game script a little bit because I think they're going to be playing behind.
I think he's going to get some passing work then if they're behind. And I think that Josh is doing a better job of taking what's given to him. So I'm still very much in on James Cook because I think he is the best pass catching back. And they really worked hard to get those running backs into the concepts and the routes last week.
The weak spot in Philly's defense is the linebackers. They lost all the linebackers to free agency. They literally were picking up people like off the couch. Then they were getting rid of them. Like Zach Cunningham has been on like 10 different teams. He's their middle linebacker. Like you can exploit them with some stuff over the middle. And so these pass catching running backs have been having some success. I'm going to go with Cook because he's not a between the tackles exclusive runner against this tough Philly front.
Yeah. So, all right, on to the next one. Half point PPR, safest option, Ford, Henry, or Mixon.
That's Henry for me.
It's Mixon, isn't it? It's got to be Joe Mixon.
I don't trust. I mean, how can you trust
you
Jacob Browning?
You don't. That's why it's Joe Mixon. Shockingly, I trust Will Levis more than I trust the other quarterbacks in this competition right now.
Hot take. I like Jake Browning better than a lot of these backup quarterbacks. He's been on the team a long time. He's very familiar with the offense, and he's got a much better college resume than any of these guys, the Tim Boyles of the world. And so I like Mixon. I think that I trust the coaching staff to rely on Mixon, give him plenty of volume. And you're going to see like Jake Browning is going to have, like, he's not going to be sitting back there, like chucking it down the field 50 times. He's going to be dumping it off to Mixon quite a bit. He's a pocket passer. He got a little bit of rushing upside. But he's, I think Mixon gets involved in the passing game too.
Like I said, it's Henry for me. I don't know. I can't trust Jacob Browning. When he came in last week, he looked awful. He looked like he didn't know what the fuck he was doing out there. I'm not trusting Mixon with a stacked box against him. Henry feels like he's going to get 20 plus opportunities today. And I also like Ford better. Mixon's last year for me personally.
Mixon's first, but I also don't think Jake Browning is going to make it 3 weeks as the Bengals starting quarterback. They elevated A.J. McCarron today. A.J. McCarron is a consummate professional. Jake Browning is a middling college quarterback who had one good year at Washington. 43 touchdowns against 9 picks in his sophomore year. And after that, and he never broke 20 touchdowns any other year. Jake Browning isn't that good. And he's going, you don't go and sign AJ McCarron if you have confidence in Jake Browning.
Who's the backup after Jake Browning?
AJ McCarron.
Yeah, AJ
Exactly.
McCarron right now.
They elevated AJ McCarron, who
I'm
can
just saying
play
that answers your
football.
question. That answers your question. Why do you
don't-
sign a guy so you don't have to have Joe Mixon at quarterback?
You signed a guy because you don't
Oh, that's
trust
true.
Jake Browning. They could have
That's
signed
true.
a million other people, but they went out and signed the best backup on the market right now in AJ McCarron.
Hmm.
All right, Adam Thielen or Rachaad White, PPR. Where are we going with this one?
Man, Rachaad White, I know, is playing, but I don't think he's going to be 100% whatsoever. I think they're going to try to limit him, his touches. So I'm going to go Thielen just on pure volume.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on White. They're saying he's fine. They said the knee buckled and they had to run some tests. It wasn't like a hamstring or anything like that. But Thielen's been pretty consistent this year, so I'm going to go with Thielen.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go away from a guy in PPR who's getting double-digit targets every single week and appears to be the only functioning piece of this Carolina offense. So give me Adam Thielen. We'll have Sebastian on later, and maybe he'll give us some more clarity around Rachaad White and what's going on there. Next, Isaiah Pacheco or Kyren Williams need to win this week to get into the playoffs. Ooh.
I love both of these matchups personally. If you think Kyron's going to play, a majority of the snaps, if he's good to go coming back off of his injury stint, I go with Kyron because the matchup is so juicy. But I also like Pacheco. Raiders suck. They may be without Max Crosby. But I mean, I guess if I have to pick one, I'll take Kyron just due to the matchup.
Go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
You're good. Reports are that Max Crosby is going to play. He's dealing with an illness. But Pacheco for me, I got Pacheco inside my top 12. I have Kyron at 16.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how much do you trust Kyren Williams coming off of that injury? And again, this is another one where I want to defer to Sebastian. We're going to have him on later and have him ready to answer these questions. For me, the big thing is Isaiah Pacheco's just been so consistent week in and week out. And it feels like Andy Reid forgets how good Isaiah Pacheco is down the stretch. And, when they get near the goal line, because he only has 3 touchdowns this year, but he's been 15 to 20 touches just about every week and sit in like 90 to 100 yards consistently. For whatever reason, they're just go away from him in key situations. So I don't know if they're saving him for the playoffs or the stretch run or what, but it's absolute fantasy kryptonite right now. The thing that they have going for them is this is a soft Raiders defense that's allowed more than 150 yards 4 times already on the season and more than 100 yards 8 times on the season. So Isaiah Pacheco just feels like the safer play, but Kyren Williams has that home run upside. So I'm going to punt on this one until I hear from Sebastian, but I'm leaning Pacheco.
McKinnon is out as well. And so,
God. Yes.
One of the reasons Pacheco gets off the field is because McKinnon is their 2-minute back. He also is very good in pass protection, despite the fact he's tiny. And so that's one of the reasons that he's still on the team and he gets so much work. But he's out today, so you might see a little bit of Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, it's going to be Isaiah Pacheco then. I didn't realize McKinnon was out today. Whew, they are coming hot, heavy, and fast with the questions today. CJ Stroud or Justin Herbert? How we feeling, gentlemen?
Stroud.
Yeah, it's Stroud. Stroud has definitely supplanted Justin Herbert this year. He's been great. He's been monstrous week in and week out.
As long as Stroud's not locked out of the locker room, he'll be good.
As long as he's not locked.
I don't know if you saw that earlier.
I did not, but I'll have to look into that. DeAndre Hopkins or Devin Singletary? Where are we going with this? Where are we going with this one?
I'm going to say Singletary. I know he's going to be splitting work with Dameon Pierce back now, but I don't know. I don't trust Will Levis to get Hopkins the ball. I mean, what we saw that very first week out of Will Levis and Hopkins is it was like a unicorn. We ain't going to see that again. Plus, I like Derrick Henry a lot this week, so I'll take Singletary.
Yeah, I was screaming at the mountaintops to sell high on Will Levis after that game. They cannot pass block whatsoever in Tennessee. Last week, Hopkins ran 15 routes and had targeted on 5 of them. And so I'm going Singletary. He's going to get more volume even with Pierce back. It's his job.
Yeah, Devin Singletary for the first time in his career, back-to-back 100-yard weeks. Never done that before. He's running hard, he's running good, and he's making things work behind a patchwork offensive line. If you get him 20 touches a game, he's going to produce at a high level. The Texans just need to trust that he can do that. So it sounds like both of y'all are fading DeAndre Hopkins this week. Prize Picks has him at 12.5 on the fantasy score. Are you going more or less than that 12.5 number?
Oh, less.
Less.
Yeah, we think that's a smash less. And so I think we're also smashing the less than on the 60.5 yards on him as well over on Prize Picks. Don't forget code SGPN, get that match, cash in with that, and have some fun with a great fantasy pick'em game. Cooper Kupp or Calvin Ridley, which direction we going with this? Andrew and I were talking about this on the side in the Discord a little bit, and we are on opposite sides of this. So Dave, where are you coming down on this one?
Yeah, this morning Reddit was like, dude, why are you so high on Cooper Kupp and making my life harder? I'm like, what do you mean? He said, I was so ready to bench Cooper Kupp, and then I saw your rankings. It's so hard to bench Cooper Kupp because you know he can go off. And the same thing with Calvin Ridley. He's been really hot recently. And Calvin Ridley, especially when Zay Jones is out, has been great because Zay Jones has been used so exclusively in the red zone. And now you're seeing Calvin Ridley get touchdowns on top of, his 80 yards. So I'm going to go with Calvin Ridley here just because he's the healthier option in a game that I think is going to be a shootout. But start them both. Like, I have both these guys very high in my rankings.
Yeah. Obviously it's Ridley for me, Adam.
Yeah, and I think it's Kupp. But I like what Dave said. I would try to get both of these guys in the lineup. I like Kupp just because Cooper Kupp feels like he hasn't fully gotten back yet, but I think he can get there. And I'm just waiting. We're all just waiting for that to happen. And it's either going to happen or we're all going to be left holding the bag at the end of the day on Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
So next, Kyren Williams, Ramondre Stevenson, Jerome Ford, PPR, starting one. What are we thinking here, gentlemen?
I
have Kyren, but it's close. I have Kyren and Stevenson both inside my top 20. So they're 3 spots apart.
Yeah, it's Kyren for me too because of the matchup. I do worry that they, don't give him a huge workload like he should be getting just coming back from injury. Yeah, but it's Kyren for me, I guess. I like Ford as well. Don't really love Stevenson a whole lot, but yeah, I'll take Kyren on the touchdown upside.
Yeah, I think it's Kyren. This Patriots offense, this Patriots team as a whole just feels broken right now, whether that's by design or what. Everyone talking about how Bill Belichick, the GM, is sabotaging Bill Belichick, the head coach right now, and making his life infinitely harder. So give me Kyren Williams here as well. So clean sweep on that one. Full point PPR from the Joker. Joker, thank you for joining us. Calvin Ridley or Jerome Ford, which way we going?
Ridley.
That's tough. I probably say Ridley, but I also like Ford, so I'm all right with either one. But I guess Ridley. It's gonna be a barn burner, I think.
For Jacksonville this week. I mean, Jacksonville has a shootout matchup against the Texans and what really needs to be a get right game for them. That offense hasn't looked like what it should look like. I don't know. Ford has had 25-18 touches before last week's 14 against a tough Pittsburgh defense. The Jaguars are not the Pittsburgh defense. I like the running back here, but that's just my personal bias. I'm very much a running back guy because there's a higher floor for guaranteed touches. And with a guy like Jerome Ford, who can break a 30, 40-yarder off and does a good job and will get work in the passing game, give me Jerome Ford here. I know I'm not helping this, but it's 2-1 Calvin Ridley, but I like Jerome Ford this week. Also, looking at his Prize Picks numbers, 11.0 on the fantasy score for Jerome Ford. That feels like a free win. I'm smashing the more on that one because he had 5 targets last week to go with 12 rushing attempts. 31 yards, only 31 yards on the ground against a tough Steelers defense, but that touchdown feels like he's going to get there and he's going to have no problem clearing that. He would have cleared that number each of his last 3 weeks.
Yeah, he cleared each of the last 3 weeks barely.
They don't ask how, they ask how many. They don't ask how, they ask how many, Dave. All right. James Conner, Jerome Ford, or I think this is Jamal Williams.
Javonte.
Yeah, it's probably Javonte Williams, I imagine. Yeah.
I was going to say there are a surprising amount of Jay Williamses in the league. Or could it be Jameson?
Yeah, you're right.
Jameson already played, so I guess I'm going to rule him out.
Guess
who does your man have a mustache? I'm going to go Conner on this one. These are all good options. So, actually, no, I'm scratching that. I'm going to go Javonte Williams in this one. If it's Javonte.
What if it's Jamal?
Definitely going Conner.
What about you? What about you, Andrew?
Yeah, man. I think Connor's going to get a lot of work. I don't love the matchup. You know what? I'm going to take Ford. I think he's going to get enough work for it to get there. Don't really love Javonte Williams' matchup per se. I think Conner probably touches the ball the most, but don't love the matchup. So I'll take Ford.
I mean, I like Conner just because James Conner has gone 4 weeks without a touchdown, and that feels like an anomaly in his world. So I think he's due to find the end zone, as well as they're slowly ratcheting him back up. He's 16 touches each of the last 2 weeks. He's probably going to get more this week. I do love Javonte Williams, but I just think I'm playing no stats to back it up, but I'm playing the gut feeling here that I think James Conner finds the end zone this week in what is a really important game for the Cardinals, taking on the Rams. Division game. They always play them tough. They're going to want to keep the ball out of Matt Stafford's hands. So give me James Conner this week. Wide morning from Douglas Sears. Douglas, good morning, good morning, good morning. Deontay Johnson, Rashee Rice, Drake London, Devin Singletary, or Jerome Ford need a wide receiver 2 in a flex. How are we feeling about this?
I'm going to take the running backs in this one. You can't. Okay. Wide receiver 2. I'm going to go Deontay, and then I am going to take Ford.
Yeah, Deontay and Ford for me as well, but I do really like Singletary. I think he's going to play a lot more than people think he will today.
Yeah, I love Devin Singletary. This is a guy who's been underrated throughout his entire year. They're going to want to run him early and often. This is...
Do it. Take Singletary. You know you want to.
I am taking Singletary as the flex. I'm just thinking about the wide receiver too. I think it's going to be... I think it's Rashee Rice. I mean, I can't quit him right now because he's just shown so many flashes. I think he might be the best Chiefs rookie receiver that they've had in a while. And the Chiefs have a very good tendency, unlike other teams, other teams don't let their rookies work through their issues. The Chiefs do that. And with Marquez Valdes-Scantling bringing his butterfingers down, too much popcorn for him at halftime, I think they're going to keep going to Rashee Rice because he's making plays and he's consistent and he does catch the ball. And I think they're just waiting to get him more involved here in the second half of the season. I like Rashee Rice this week. The Chiefs have a really big, all the games are getting more important in the AFC as teams are losing, teams are revealing how vulnerable they are, and everybody's showing that they can lose. And it's a divisional game for the Chiefs. Give me Rashee Rice this week. I love the young speedster with the upside.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, I like that call too, Adam. The only thing that worries me about this damn offense is, one, every time we see the Chiefs play the Raiders, it's Travis Kelce's season. I mean, Travis Kelce murders the Raiders every time he plays them. So I'm worried that he's just going to go off for 100-plus yards, 2 touchdowns. They don't really have to pass the ball a whole lot to these other guys. The other thing is that they pass the ball to all their guys. They just, it's like they can't hone in ever since they don't have Hill. They can't hone in on one guy. It's Justin Watson. It's Rashee Rice. They give MVS opportunities. They pass the ball all over the field. And I just feel like today is just, I don't know. I just have a bad feeling about Rashee Rice, but I do like that rest of season. He's probably the best wide receiver option.
I mean, right now he's currently second on that team in targets as a rookie. He's second in targets, which means they feel good about him. And I think he's just going to get more and more involved because they've been struggling to find that receiver to replace Hill. Spoiler alert. If you can find T. Higgins next team odds, put all your money on the Kansas City Chiefs because they are seeing that they got to have a guy. Because Travis Kelce is showing his age. He's showing his mortality. Okay, Travis Kelce is older than you think. I mean, what is he now? He's 30. He's 34. Travis Kelce is 34. He is a tight end, so he can keep playing, but he's losing that athleticism that he had that allowed him to separate, and he's struggling, and we're seeing it this year. So Rashee Rice feels like the guy who's going to just emerge in that offense because he is poised to take that next step.
That is a good call out. If you're in a dynasty or in a keeper league and you're in it or out of it and have the opportunity to maybe try to trade for T. Higgins, that's a good call. I'd like that just in case he does go to the Chiefs.
Oh, I would be all over wherever T. Higgins goes next because wherever he goes next, he's going to be an absolute target hog. He's going to get that wide receiver one money. And right now the Bengals are kicking themselves that they didn't trade him at the deadline with Burrow out this year. They held him because they thought Burrow's back. We're going to be fine. Burrow's gone now. They needed to trade him and move on with their lives.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Warren. Ooh, only spicy addition here on the Connor versus Singletary thing. Jaylen Warren. How are we feeling about Jaylen Warren this week, guys?
It's Warren for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Warren, but these guys are all just in a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough this week to get it figured and figure it out. Isn't
the running backs coach going to be calling the offensive plays now since Matt Canada's gone? Tell me that guy don't know how much better Jaylen Warren is than Najee Harris. I just think we see Warren get more opportunities because of the guy calling the plays. So yeah, I think that there's a little anomaly there, and maybe where Warren is, in the rankings that you see consensusly. I think that the running back coaches favors Warren. He knows how much better he is.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'm trying to see if you can get a prize picks number on Jaylen Warren. No, it does not.
When I was looking to, obviously I was making my bets last night. I was looking like Warren to get over like 50, 70 yards. Like that's like plus money right now. I don't know.
That ladder play on your straight up player props. He's been just great. He's been dominating the touches. And even looking at underdog, you got a spicy option here for him. You can get him at plus 1.25. You can get him in a 1.25 multiplier for higher or lower than 0.5 rushing receiving TDs, or higher or get that 1.5 spicy multiplier on a 0.5 rushing TD pick. Again, Jaylen Warren just been really emerging in this offense, being who a lot of people thought he could be. So where do we come down on this? Jaylen Warren, James Conner, or Devin Singletary? I'm sure this is another one where we're just going to confuse.
Well, there's a lot of projecting because actually Harris out-touched Warren last week, but the offensive coordinator was fired. And so we have a projection. Mike Tomlin, before in the past, he's used an RB exclusively. And so do we see Warren get 70-80% of the snaps? But they've literally been like 49 to 51, 50 to 50, 52 to 48. Like they have had a straight up 50-50 timeshare. And that's the concern there. And it's just a bad offense. Like you want running backs on good offenses. Singletary's on a good offense. Connor's offense is meh, but they're also Marquise Brown's limited. Michael Wilson's out today. So it's basically like James Conner and Rondale Moore and Trey McBride. Like Connor could get a ton of work today. So I actually do have Connor slightly higher than Warren and Singletary, but literally these guys are like within 4 spots of each other in my ranking, just in a bunch.
So yes, Najee Harris is still out touching Jaylen Warren, but Najee Harris has had, I believe, 2 games where he's averaged more than 5 yards a touch. Jaylen Warren has been north of that number in 5 games. Jaylen Warren is the more explosive and dynamic runner. Jaylen Warren is doing more with less. Touches don't matter to a guy like Jaylen Warren. It's a little bit like Tajay Spears right now. Tajay Spears is showing explosiveness that Derrick Henry can't bring to the table because that's not Derrick Henry's game. Now, this isn't saying start Tajay Spears over, Derrick Henry. This is saying we're starting Jaylen Warren, who looks like a better player all around, over Najee Harris, who is the not even the great value brand of Derrick Henry. He's like the Dollar Tree version of Derrick Henry on a good day. He's more akin to Trent Richardson than Derrick Henry. Najee's still getting some of the short yardage work, but I just think Jaylen Warren is showing himself to be the better back, and I think he's going to take more of that. And with Pierce back, that offense in the Houston might go back to more of the 50-50 split, whereas I think Jaylen Warren's more likely to take over more of the snap share. So I like Warren a little bit more than Singletary this week, but it is close for me.
Do you guys think Pittsburgh or the Bengals win this game?
Well, I think
nothing would surprise me in this game. That's just where I'm at right now.
Pittsburgh's been winning ugly games, so I'm going to give it to Pittsburgh, but I already gave my stance earlier. I think the Bengals are going to be okay, but Pittsburgh has just been winning ugly games, and their defense is really good, and so their offense is going to do enough, and maybe addition by subtraction, maybe the offense does actually get better. The offensive line is starting to gel a little bit. It takes time for those offensive lines, and they have one of the best set of skill players in the league with all the weapons they have. It's just that Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada have not been good.
Yeah.
Give me the Steelers, new offensive coordinator, and who knows, maybe we see some Mitch Trubisky this year or this week.
Oh, geez.
He's a professional quarterback, and Kenny Pickett might not be. That's the thing. It's am I wrong?
I just don't want to see him out in the field, man.
Kenny Pickett has fewer multi-touchdown games than Tommy DeVito. Let's just remember that. Tommy DeVito has infinitely worse weapons around him than Kenny Pickett does.
Well, today we will have our 50th different starting quarterback of the season. If the Patriots make a change, we'll have 51. Last year was 68. We are on pace for that. It is just the year of the backup quarterback. Superflex leagues are grimy right now. It's tough on the streets. But Kenny Pickett. Yeah, it's if they were to move off of Kenny Pickett for Trubisky, that would just be the sign that he's done there, because you can't go once you do it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Yep. Agree.
And they're winning.
Yeah. All right. Devin Singletary or Cooper Kupp. Oh, two guys we like this week. Steven, thanks for joining us this morning.
Kupp.
Yeah, it's Kupp. If there was no Dameon Pierce, it's Singletary for me. But with him there, I will take Kupp.
I'm sticking with Singletary. I like the idea of Cooper Kupp, but I like the reality of the running back a little bit more. And I think that DeMeco Ryans is a guy who isn't going to go away from a back who's been carrying his team recently. All right, Bijan Robinson or Kyren Williams?
Oh, damn, that is, man. See, I hate the football is so weird. Like, this should not even be a question. It should be Bijan all day.
This is a great time for Sebastian Fear on the SGPN doc to be joining us. Sebastian, how are we doing today?
What's up, gentlemen? Good morning. Good morning. Live on the road at a rest stop in New Jersey. Shout out to all the people at Paul Weddings.
My sympathies for having to spend more time than needed in the state of New Jersey. That's painful.
Hey, man, I'm from Dirty Jersey, man. I'm happy to be back. But how you doing, gentlemen? How we doing this morning?
We're good. We need your help figuring out what are we doing with Kyren Williams this week? How do you feel about Kyren Williams coming off? Just talk to us about his injury and talk to us about the return to play for him this week.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, Kyren Williams actually one of the guys I have a decent amount of confidence in this week. Now, maybe not as much as Bijan right now with that question, but as far as the injury, it's a high ankle sprain, right? So we're talking about an injury that's to the ligaments above the typical ankle. It connects your tibia and your fibula. So we call that syndesmosis. it takes a little bit more damage to happen, and it means it's a little bit more damaging on, as far as a longer recovery time and things like that. But he has had 6 weeks. Typically, in a mild cases, we expect around 4 to 6 week recovery time, and he's on his 6 weeks. He's fully practiced this week. They said he's going to be a full go. So I really like Kyron Williams. I mean, we all saw they released Daryl Henderson, so that's a great sign that they have confidence in him going forward. So I do think that Kyron Williams is going to be a full go in your lineup. So if you have him, I would start him.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kyron for me as well. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I think we just don't know what the workload is going to be for Bijan. I mean, they just switch it up all the time. Are they going to give him the goal line work, or are they going to give it to Tyler Algier? I hate to say it, but I mean, how can you really trust Bijan right now? I mean, Kyron, at least we know he's going to get all the goal line work. I mean, that's just what they've shown us all year long when he's healthy. So, has to be Kyron.
I think coming off a 20 rush week last week for Bijan, I think that Arthur Smith has kind of seen what he can do. And there's a reason they picked him so high. And I'm trying to find a way to get both of these guys in my lineup because I think they have higher upside than a lot of back tandems that you're going to have. I mean, so I'm trying to find a way to get both in there. But I think I'm still going to lean Bijan just because I think he is better, and he did all that last week with limited passing game work.
Yeah, I got Bijan at 12, Kyron at 16. And Sebastian, you said Bijan over Kyron, but you're starting both. Is that what you said?
Yeah. In this situation, I would kind of agree there. I think that they're wising up there in Atlanta and think that Bijan is clearly the best running back they have. So the goal line work, especially now that they're putting him in there, gives me that uptick. And I do like both, though. I do like both.
All right, we got another question. Then we're going to bounce to some of the guys that Sebastian's keeping an eye on today. 12-team PPR, Warren or Addison in the flex. His opponent went off on Thanksgiving. Big Dag trying to come back from the big Thanksgiving haul. So we got Warren, Addison, or Singletary. Who we feeling, gentlemen? I know for me, if I need upside, I'm going with Jordan Addison. Just because I don't think Justin Jefferson's back this week. I bet Sebastian can talk a little bit about that. But I think if I need a guy who can go for 100 yards and multiple touchdowns, Jordan Addison is that guy, especially given the fact that the Vikings are playing a Bears defense that is not the greatest. And the last time that they played, Jordan Addison did get a touchdown. And this one has a sneaky shootout feel to me, actually. But that's just me. So, Sebastian, talk to us. What are you thinking here? And what are your thoughts on Justin Jefferson real quick? And then we'll bounce it to Andrew and Dave to have the full picture on the Vikings receiver situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm right there with you, aligned with the Justin Jefferson thing. So Justin Jefferson coming off that grade 2 hamstring strain, just damage to your hamstring. Grade 2 means moderate, so a little bit more than a typical mild. You're expecting around 4 to 6 weeks, but it's one of those injuries that high re-injury rate. So if you do come back before you're ready, it's one of those things that could turn in from weeks to months. So Justin Jefferson has said multiple times he doesn't want to come back until he's 100%. So the biggest thing is Vikings have their bye next week. So I do feel like he's going to opt on the side of caution, and the team will, to keep him happy. So at this point with a Monday night game, it's tough because he is questionable. I'm probably putting in like 70% chance he doesn't play, 30% chance he does. I think if, unless you have Addison or someone like DJ Moore, you can flex in. I think you got to pivot from Jefferson this week. Just because even if he does play, there's always that potential for re-injury. As far as the question goes, it's a lot closer. I would probably go Addison, but part of me wants to go Jaylen Warren. With the Steelers having that new offensive coordinator, I think you got to look at who's the best player on your team, who gives you the biggest pop. In a situation where you're going up against Jake Browning, you hopefully would have the lead. You never know with the Lurs, but I would say Addison, but Warren is very close for me. Singletary is out with Dameon Pierce being active.
All right. So Dave and Andrew, how y'all feeling about this?
I mean, obviously both are good options. I'm going to go Warren. Talking about upside, I think both have good upside, but Warren showed it off last week, and he had 9 carries and turned it into 130 yards. So, and then his passing game work. I know Freiermuth is back, but we should still see, Warren used pretty heavily in the passing game work. So I like the volume here, and I think more chances, more opportunities for upside.
Yeah, just to keep it short, I'll go with Warren. Just again, I think his opportunities are going to be more than people think it is with the coordinator change.
Nice. All right. So, oh my gosh, we're moving fast, fellas. Full PPR flex. Thielen, Deonta, Schultz, or Kirk. Who we doing? Full point PPR flex.
Thielen.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, second Thielen.
I'll take Kirk.
Andrew loves him some Christian Kirk.
I do. Again, I just think
that's his guy right there.
I think that game's going to be a barn burner. So I'll just take the opportunity for him to see 8 to 10 targets possibly.
Yeah, give me the consistency there. We're bouncing over Adam Thielen, DeAndre Swift, or Jamar Chase. PPR pick 2.
Damn,
Before
that
Joe
is
Burrow got hurt, this wasn't even a question, and now we're sitting here sweating Jamar Chase versus Adam Thielen.
I think you stick with your guns and go Swift and Chase here. I think that they'll find a way to get Chase involved. They have to. I mean, Steelers secondary is all right. It's nothing too crazy. I understand the chance of a double team, but no, I think you got to keep Chase in. I think he can feed him the ball some way somehow.
Yeah, I'll take Swift and Chase.
I'm taking Thielen and Swift.
So the
After
only
you just got done talking to Jake Browning.
You told us Jake Browning was good. He had a stellar collegiate career.
He did have a stellar.
He did not have a stellar collegiate career.
You're acting like I am sitting Jamar Chase over Andrew Robb. This is Adam Thielen, who's been great this year, and DeAndre Swift, who just had he looked a lot better than the actual points he had, but he still put up almost 20 points. Like these
DeAndre
are great
Swift
options.
is going to do well against a gashed Bills defense right now. This is a big DeAndre Swift week, and it's going to hurt my soul.
Swift is the easy one. It's between Thielen and Chase, and honestly, like talk about bad quarterback play. Bryce Young does not look good, but Thielen has been solid all year. And last week with Burrow, Chase, he struggled. I mean, the only points he had was with Jake Browning. So I'm gonna go Thielen.
I gotta go Swift and Chase. I can't go away from Jamar Chase. That's a little too far for me. Alexander Madison, Jerome Ford, or Devin Singletary flex in the PPR.
Man, we are getting a shit ton of Jerome Ford and Devin Singletary questions today. It's
because they were available.
Crazy.
Smart players picked them up. Yeah. And I'm sticking with my Devin Singletary answer. You can just leave Alexander Madison on the shelf.
I'll take Ford, but I like Singletary as well. Madison's the odd man out.
Yeah, I would take Ford over Singletary this week, just not knowing how the split's going to be with Pierce, but it's close. It's close.
Yeah, I'll take Ford. It's the matchup. It's Denver. They're 32nd best against the run.
That's a nice way of saying worst.
Yeah. So next one, Daquan the Great. Love the channel, guys. Thank you, Daquan. Love having you in the chat again. Jamie Purr, glad you're here. Ugly super flex option, though. Tommy DeVito or Mac Jones. Also have Roschon Johnson.
Jesus.
That might be one of the ugliest questions I've ever seen.
Sebastian, while you're there in Jersey, you need to go get the DeVito sandwich. It's chicken parm with the vodka sauce. I'm going DeVito in this one.
Is it even chicken parm then, if it has the vodka sauce on it?
I mean, it's still got chicken. It's still got parm.
No, that's fair.
I'm going DeVito in this one just because the rushing upside. Mac Jones may not even be the quarterback. Mac Jones has a very good chance he could get pulled at halftime, and so it's just I'm gonna go DeVito if you have no other options.
Yeah, this is an easy one for me. Listen, I was at an Italian wedding last night, and that was just absolutely special. So it's giving me a sign from the fantasy guys. We're going DeVito. I might have to hammer Giants money line just for that too. But no, just because Jones and Roschon are just such bad options. This is not someone I love.
This is an instance where I say go pick up AJ McCarron on the waiver wire this week because Jake Browning is not going to make it 2 weeks as the Bengals starter. Listen, AJ McCarron was elite with XFL receivers. Let's just remember that. He carved up the XFL, had himself a great time, and now he gets to throw the ball to Jamar Chase. Keem Butler's all right, but he's no Jamar Chase. Give me A.J. McCarron 8 times.
A.J. McCarron carved up the XFL, summed up that entire thing.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
why are we discounting that? Jake Browning couldn't beat Jake Browning couldn't carve up the Pac-12, which is probably a lower level of football than the XFL is. So let's just keep that in mind. You're going to put your faith in Jake Browning, who couldn't beat the future Mountain West Conference?
I thought DeVito and Mac Jones was the question.
It is, but this is an anticipatory saving of Jamie going and getting A.J. McCarron. There we go. Andrew, it took how many weeks, but we got Dave to get a little punchy. It took a couple weeks here, but there's some fight. I like it, Dave. I like it.
Hey, you guys just said it's, Dave just said it's between DeVito and Mac Jones. Don't forget about Roschon Johnson here, all right? I mean, Sebastian, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're putting Roschon in the super
listen.
Oh.
There's no Foreman, correct? He's injured now.
Foreman's out.
Okay.
Foreman's doubtful. Foreman's doubtful. It's a Monday game. He's doubtful.
Yeah, but there's hey, doubtful used to mean out, but there's two guys that might play, and Darius Slayton was doubtful. He's going to play, and Max Crosby's got a shot too. So, but yeah, likely out.
So I'm just putting it out there. I think it's DeVito as well because obviously super flex. You're kind of dumb to not put a QB in the spot. I get that. So it's DeVito over Mac Jones for me, but I won't be shocked if they finally give Roschon a little bit of work around the goal line and he maybe falls onto a touchdown or two. That it's possible. I know they like Herbert a lot, but I just putting it out there. I think you start DeVito. It won't shock me if Roschon actually has a decent game though.
Yeah. There we go. All right. Mooney, Tutu, or Hubbard?
Oh, finally some new blood here. Interesting question.
Hubbard.
Yeah, I think you go Hubbard and Mooney here. Tutu with Cooper Kupp and Puka. He's kind of faded away a lot. I don't know
Tutu's
if I
faded
can
a ton.
Tutu.
I think it's Hubbard and Mooney pretty comfortably.
Yeah. Let's make it Mooney and Hubbard.
Chandler, Keaton Mitchell.
Keaton.
Give me give me Chandler this week.
Chandler, I feel like it's the safer play in this one. If you need a boom, Keaton Mitchell. Chandler was splitting the work, and he does have some nice passing game chops. So, but I am taking Keaton Mitchell in this one because I think he's got way more upside.
All right, Rachaad White or Kyren Williams. I think we're all agreed this is Kyren Williams.
Yep.
Smash it, no questions. He got Sebastian's seal of approval. Drake London or James Cook.
The old merch god himself, Jake Paquin. Oh, okay. So we got to make sure we get this one right for the old merch god here.
If you get it wrong, he's putting you on a shirt.
With the clown nose, like the one you have in the back.
Oh, yeah. Good old Raji.
I think I'm gonna go James Cook here, just from volume perspective, but I just can't trust anything on Atlanta. I know, so London is healthy off his groin. I just can't trust really London for anything. I think the volume is going to get him there. I understand Philly's defense is tough, especially against the run, but I think they'll get him involved in the pass game a little bit more. The linebacking core for Philadelphia is not the best against tight ends and linebackers, so I'm going there.
Yeah, it's James Cook. I mean, London's going to see, the Saints' best guys, right? Like, I mean, I don't think there's a world where they just let London anywhere that's not Marshawn Lattimore, be honest with you. So, yeah, I think it's James Cook.
So Lattimore is out.
Oh, Lattimore's out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I don't know. I still just
could change it.
His 1 week this year of more than 100 yards came against an unemployed defensive coordinator and DB's coach. Sorry, Andrew.
Yeah.
It was his only week of more than 100 yards, and he hasn't had a touchdown since week 4? Like,
yeah.
I don't know that I can trust it. And free the Atlanta Falcons offense, please. Dear God, free the Atlanta Falcons offense.
This game might be over by 3:00. They're just gonna run the ball. Both sides of the ball are two of the slowest pace of play offenses in the league. decent defenses to add to the problem, and really crappy quarterback play. So I'm going to go James Cook in what should be a much higher scoring game on a much better offense. And Jake, if
Yeah.
it's PPR or stuff like that, it might change some things for people, but
No,
doesn't.
God, no.
Nah.
All right, Kyron Williams or Jerome Ford. I think it's Kyron Williams, right?
Yeah, I like both though. I do like both.
If you can get them
But
both in your lineup, we like that. But we like Kyron Williams. All
Yeah.
right, we got about 9 minutes left here before we got to kick it over to the main feed. Sebastian, talk to us. We got inactives and inactives. Who are some guys who are active this week that people might be questioning because they were banged up or injured? Talk to us about those guys.
Yeah, got a couple for you, right? So we talked about Damian Pierce a little bit, right? So he's active, but I'm a little bit concerned, partly because of the injury, partly because we don't know what the splits are going to look like. So he was hurt in week 8 with another high ankle sprain there, right? And so he's missed the last 3 games. He's on a 4 weeks of that recovery. Typically, I'd like to see closer to 6 weeks. So him getting back a little bit sooner there scares me off a little bit. And then, yeah, really the biggest thing is Devin Singletary, the emergence of him. Pierce wasn't that efficient while he was in, and then now coming back to this off the injury. I don't know if I really want to throw him back in my lineup. Some other guys there we can talk about. So we talked about Kyron plenty. I think you start him. Same with Cooper Kupp coming off that low ankle sprain there. Obviously, those games are a little bit later, so we don't have the actives and inactives for them. But Cooper Kupp, he got that little bit of a low ankle sprain when he was blocking last week. Essentially, just the ankle sprain we typically think about. When you're on the basketball court, you roll your ankle. Those lateral ligaments, very common. Only takes about 1 to 3 weeks, depending on severity. Looks like he's gonna be good to go. I expected this. The fact that he even tried to come back last game. I know he wasn't able to, but I'm thinking in this point he was able to practice. McVay said he's going to play. I think if you have him, you have to start Cooper Kupp.
So you're feeling confident in Cooper Kupp. You're playing him like he's a potential wide receiver 1, or should we be limiting our expectations for Kupp this week?
Yeah, I mean, you might want to limit him a little bit, but I don't think it's in a situation where he should be out of your lineup, right? So whether you want to call him a wide receiver 1 or wide receiver 2 this week, that's a little bit up to you. I don't think you're going to have 3 better options than Cooper Kupp this week on your team. If you do, I mean, hey, that's awesome, but that's where I'm feeling at right now.
There we go. All right. We got a question from Jordan Kiltu. Jordan, thank you for joining us. 2 half-point PPR. Ridley, Stevenson, Rice, Warren, Hunt. That's a tough string of guys there. That's a lot of guys in that middle, in that mess.
For me, it's Warren and Ridley, and I don't know. Stevenson would be the only other one I consider. I think Warren is for sure. Ridley, just when Zay Jones is active, which he is today, he just seems to find a way to perform. So those are the 2 for me.
Yep,
Same.
Ridley Warren.
Give me. What about you, Dave?
Same.
Yeah, I think that's pretty locked in, set and forget. All right, Jordan, Ridley, and Warren. Oh,
Now just me answering.
Okay. Never mind. We're good then. Rachaad White or Kyron Williams. We've talked about this once. We've talked about this a lot.
Yeah.
We love Kyron Williams this week. Sebastian gave him the go-ahead and a clean bill of health.
Yeah. I'm not completely scared off of Rachaad White with the knee thing, though. I don't know if y'all saw, he got added pretty late. It was just a kind of precautionary tweak. So if it's one of those situations where, you have Williams and White and you don't have a better option, I wouldn't be completely scared off Rachaad White. I just have more confidence in Kyron Williams.
Sebastian, what about Zay Flowers? He was injured midweek. I always hate to see that. Any cause for concern there? I know he's questionable right now, but it looks like he's going to play. He told reporters he's fine, but I always hate when somebody gets hurt midweek. So how do we feel about Zay Flowers?
No, yeah, and you're right on, right? Red flags all over the place, right? The biggest thing, when you see a limited in practice and then a do not practice the next day, that tells you was injured in practice, right? So we obviously happened to T. Higgins. We haven't seen him at practice since, but yeah, Flowers looks like it was just more of a scare, right? It seems pretty minor. No real reports and no really any video because it didn't happen in a game. So I'm not exactly sure what the injury is. It's just a hip injury, right? So, but it does seem minor. He was able to practice on Friday. And like you said, he told reporters. I think the fact that he is that wide receiver #1 in that offense, especially with Andrews out and it going up against a pretty poor Chargers defense, that gives me the confidence because I like the matchup so much and he's going to be out there. Will he be 100%? Pretty unlikely. But I think he will be close to like 89%. So I think I do have some trust in there. I do think he's gonna. Hopefully his props go down so we can get some value off those.
What about Marquise Brown, Sebastian? How are we feeling about him?
Yeah, so he's coming in questionable, expected to play with a heel injury. So there's a little bit of different options there. But essentially, he didn't practice much this week, so I was surprised when I saw him questionable, but he is expected to play. Shefty reported at like 2 a.m. in his typical way. So there's no Michael Wilson. So at that point, I mean, who else is Kyler going to throw the ball to other than Trey McBride? So I think it's one of those things where he's kind of right on the edge for me. I could see him playing, but I mean, it's a little bit tough with the no practice time. The fact that he's expected to play tells me that, it's maybe not as serious, and he's kind of a veteran guy, so he doesn't need to practice. But I'm a little bit more worried about Marquise Brown. If you have the ability to get out of him, I would. I think Kyler's legs and Trey McBride is going to be who I'm targeting in that game.
Yeah, Marquise Brown was a limited participant on Wednesday, did not practice Thursday, did not practice Friday. So, I mean, you skipped it, but I did put some Jake Browning highlights in there for you, Andrew, if you want to, finish the last 5 minutes up.
No. We have no need to watch Jake Browning's below midness at all. So we got a late addition here. Jose Ramos, 12-team PPR. Burrow still have ETN, Kamara, Kyren. I don't fully know what the question is there, but I like Waddle.
So he's asking, do we think it's a good trade? He traded Mixon for Waddle, so he still has ETN, Kamara, and Kyren. I like that a lot. I'll take Waddle for Mixon the rest of the season for sure.
Yeah, he's got 3 good backs too. So
yeah, I'm down with it.
Oh, wow. They're coming in quick here. We already talked about this, Jose. Stroud. Is it popping up for anybody?
Yeah, the Stroud one's there, yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, next. Justin Ruff, ETN or Rashad White?
ETN.
ETN, yeah, for sure.
There we go. Should I start Shakir, Zay Jones, or hold out hope for Jefferson?
Ooh,
I
Shakir.
think we're not. Yeah, I think it's Shakir as well.
Yeah, that sucks, man. That's a tough spot to be in. But I think you got to roll with Shakir or Jones, depending on if you like him. But he's still a little banged up with his knee, so I'd probably go Shakir there.
Yeah, there's really no backup options for Jefferson. So like Brandon Powell would be like the person that you could scoop up and wait for Jefferson with Powell as like your insurance. He's not that much worse than Shakir and Zay Jones, but I still would just play Shakir in a high scoring game.
All right. And lastly, Dave wants us all to know Jake Browning finished 6th in Heisman voting, which we don't need.
It could be anybody. Could be anybody.
It's not. Who cares that it's Jake Browning? Nobody does.
Jake Browning.
Nobody cares that it's Jake Browning. All right, gentlemen, let's fire out some underdog picks here. Let's build us a play here this week. Everybody throw one in. Andrew, who you locking in this week?
What does it look like for Derrick Henry touchdown?
Derrick Henry, 0.5 rushing receiving TDs.
I like the higher there personally.
All right, so we're locking in that. Dave, what you feeling here this week?
I'm gonna throw an under out there.
Dave, I don't know what an under is.
We don't have unders. I apologize.
We have highers and lowers.
I'm going to throw a lower out there. Sorry, I was trying to do 2 things at once. What's Mac Jones passing, higher or lower?
There is no market. There is no option to fade
God.
Mac Jones this week. As much as we all would be on board with that. That's
how bad he is. Jones. They're like, nah, we're not even giving you the opportunity.
No, we're not giving you that one.
I'm going to take the higher on Taysom Hill rushing at 18.5.
Taysom Hill higher, 18.5. Love it. Love it. Sebastian, what you feeling this week?
Yeah, I'm going to go with another rushing on a quarterback there. Let's go Jake Browning higher than 11.5 rushing yards.
Jake
Whoa.
Browning higher than 11.5 rushing yards. The man who finished 6th in the 2019 Heisman voting. Let's just to put that in context. I believe Eric Dungy finished 6th in Heisman voting one year for Syracuse.
16 career rushing touchdowns in college.
Almost.
He's a capable runner, man. I don't know about his arm, but he can run.
So he threw for 16 touchdowns his last 2 years and rushed for 16 touchdowns his entire collegiate career.
What do we
Jake
got
Browning.
on? What do we got on Kelsey touchdown? So here I'll throw out some things that I've already been looking at doing higher or lowers on. So Travis Kelsey.
Hold on. I got to lock in mine. I'm going Homer here. Khalil Shakir, though, higher than 32.5 receiving yards. He's been heavily involved in that offense. The Eagles secondary is suspect. Look for Shakir to stay involved. Smash that higher than 32.5. And we need a 5th one, gentlemen. What are we looking at? Andrew, you're a resident underdog expert. What you feeling?
So just a few I've been looking at. So Travis Kelsey touchdown. CJ Stroud, higher passing touchdowns. Tank Dell, higher receiving yards.
I like Dell.
Those are 3. Yeah, those are 3
I was
I
looking
like.
at Dell as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll co-sign Dell for sure.
I also was looking at Sebastian's Saquon Barkley here, higher, but I couldn't figure out if I wanted to take rushing yards or receiving yards. Sebastian, do you like any of Barkley at all? No Barkley. All
Don't
right.
touch that game.
No,
Do some good for your mental health.
I'm loving some
And
Tank Dell here. Are we going
Yeah.
higher than 67.5 receiving yards, or do we want to take higher than 13 fantasy points here?
I mean, he does find the end zone pretty often, so we could give ourselves that option.
I mean, we do not have a spicy multiplier in there.
Yeah,
and
his touchdown's spicy.
I always love some spice.
Let's fire it. Let's fire it.
Let's fire it. All right, so we're firing that in there. All right, excellent. That's our lock. Just to review it, Derrick Henry, higher than 0.5 rushing receiving touchdowns. Taysom Hill, higher than 18.5 rushing yards. Jake Browning, higher than 11.5 rushing yards. Khalil Shakir, higher than 32.5 receiving yards. And Tank Dell, higher than 0.5 rushing and receiving. So there we go. We got some quick ones to fire off here to end. Singletary or Hopkins in the flex. I think we're all agreed that that's Devin Singletary.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. All right. Addison. We got clarification on that. Shakir, Zay Jones, or hold out for Jefferson. All right. So Addison, and I think we'd go Addison over Shakir this week, correct?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, gentlemen, it's been a great week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on the Fantasy Lounge for Week 12. Make sure you jump over to the SGP main feed. Join Sean and Kramer. Kramer has made it back from the wilderness and is ready for another week of winners. That's Andrew Robb, Sebastian Fearon, Dave Hillman. I'm Adam Pelletier, and we will see you next time.